stuff.
All right, sir. Are you ready to build a boutique label?
I am ready. Let's do it.
So the parameters for tonight, since this was all your idea, why don't you lay this out for us?
So the original idea that I was going to have like this like hot topic discussion about physical media in general, but then I had this other idea that I said that came to me. I said, hey, what if we, each took like these categories, these aspects of a label, and we're going to basically just build our dream label. But we have to do it like in respect of like, well, I would do it like this label, and then like this label. So there's no rules. You can pretty much do what you want. This is our fantasy world. And then so I thought, well, while we're discussing then why we chose these labels, that in turn will hopefully, branch out to a discussion about physical media and where we are, rather than it just being an open discussion.
Right.
So.
And the things that we're deciding on each of these are going to be able to lend themselves to their own discussion of like what we prefer and why and what we look for in releases. I hope this isn't too hard to follow if we're both going item by item and going back and forth rather than listing everything about one of our labels.
I don't think it will be. I think that's why I bullet pointed it off, where it's just like the very first thing is name of our label. So, some things will get more discussion than other. Plus, I also think it's fun because other people can obviously just throw in their 2 cents as to like what they would name it, or like, who they would emulate in terms of, cover art and stuff of that nature.
So then for the first one, why don't we list the name of the label and our mission statement, mantra, whatever that we're saying.
Brendan, enjoy. It's a good cause. Enjoy.
And enjoy Satan's Slave for sure.
Yeah, you can catch up later.
All right.
So you want to go first or should I?
Go first. Give us the name of your label and then the genre, mantra, mission statement.
Okay. So the name of my label will be Rainy Day Films. And our mantra or mission statement is giving those casual watches and frequent rotation films the boutique treatment.
Nice.
So it really is, like we talked about, it's not any specific genre, but it's just those movies where it's like, look, I think Schindler's List is a masterpiece, but I'm not going to watch it every day. Right. But if I'm going to try to fall asleep, or if I'm just bored and I want to put something on the background or whatever, like there's just those films that you just put on again and again and again. As an example, it's not going to be on my list tonight, but like Game Night. Like I've seen Game Night now like 30 times because it's just that movie while I'm falling asleep, or like if I'm doing my crunches and I just don't want to have to pay total attention, but I want to have something going, I'll put that on, or I'll put like Ellie Confidential on, or some of that nature. What about you?
Good idea. Yeah. I have to apologize in advance. I took advantage of this idea because I'm going like as full into the male side as I possibly could for this. Craig's comment. If you've listened to me before talk about like things that I wish labels would focus on, you can probably guess what this is about to be. So I still can't believe I'm about to do this. The name of the label.
Somebody's favorite
Scenes of Skinema. The genre mantra mission statement: protecting the lost DTV and overlooked erotic thrillers of the 80s and beyond, and giving extra love to the films that have gotten releases prior that never got enough love from the studios.
We almost had crossover. I was almost going to go with that, but I feel like we've discussed it too many times.
Yep.
That we've doubled down. So it's like, no, erotic thrillers. I'm like, I gotta
that's why I asked if you were going to focus on a genre. So that's perfect.
But now are you talking, because it's funny, because that documentary that came out, we Kill for Love or whatever?
We Kill for Love, yeah.
Yeah. It's like they do such a deep dive. Like there's like the erotic thrillers that are like the top tier, like the Basic Instincts and the all those films. And then there's the Shannon Tweed. And then there's everything underneath the Shannon Tweed. So are you talking about those deep cuts? Like
we're hitting all three levels of that, because even like the most well-known titles have mostly gone overlooked. Like they've gotten shitty Kino releases or really terrible Mill Creek releases.
Like this?
Dance of the Damned would be perfect. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. So the big question: what is the studio that you're teaming up with first, and why?
I am going to, and again, this is our fantasy world, so I can do whatever I want. I'm teaming up with Disney, but not because I want Disney films. I want their Buena Vista. I want their Hollywood
Touchstone. Yeah.
Touchstone. I want those because those are like, again, the 80s and 90s. Because I was trying to think of like Rainy Day. Like, well, I'm not going to put on an erotic thriller for a rainy day film. I may in some sense, but like, you know,
Right.
there are other films of that time growing up that's like, there's some action, there's some comedy, but there's a good mixture of all that in the Buena Vista Touchstone family, where it's like they were putting out like it was like an erotic thriller, and then you see their other timelines, like, and then like whatever it is, Turner and Hooch comes out the next week.
Right.
So I think they had the most to offer me. I tried doing Trimark or TriStar Sony, but there just wasn't enough. Like, I don't want to watch that movie.
Right.
Like, I want to just pop that movie in. Like at one point, I was like, I started making my list of movies. I'm just like, if I put that title in, people are gonna look at me like, that's the movie you're gonna put in on a rainy day. They're like, no. Exactly.
So I had to obviously go to Warner Brothers Discovery because they own Cinemax. Like that's the obvious answer here. Because if I'm going to dive into something, they've got the back catalog. Not to mention everything Warner Brothers. They've got hands in a lot of different.
Who was it that I
pockets.
missed? I was reading the comment. What was you say?
WB Discovery.
WB Discovery. Okay, gotcha.
Because they own Cinemax. So
yeah.
It seems like an obvious to me. A lot of those have not ever had great releases, and I gotta be honest, most of them probably don't have film elements. A lot of them were shot on video, a lot of them were shot on digital. A lot of them were literally just tossed because they're never going to do anything else. So, unfortunately, a lot of these probably going to have to be rescued from other sources or restored some other way. I mean, there's my friend Brian in the chat, he's got a bunch of these on Laserdisc, so we might have to borrow some of his Laserdiscs to get a good transfer.
I just say, like, a lot of these, to your point, because I think we talked about it at some point for some reason. I think because I think I listed like the top 10 erotic thrillers that need to be put out, and you went, I don't know these titles. And
that's the best part of erotic thrillers. Everybody has a different touchstone on those.
And the thing is, like, the thing that makes let's talk about what the elephant in the room. Like, the thing that makes erotic thriller great is, like, you want to see the unrated version. You don't want to see the watered down version. The problem is a lot of these movies that come out on disc now are the R-rated version.
Yep.
So Thief of Hearts was R-rated, Dream Lover was R-rated, and these are MGM titles where it's like, if you ever remember, it's like they would always offer you the full screen and widescreen edition, the rated, unrated, and you had to go through all these things to prompt which version you were going to watch. But everyone always goes to the unrated.
It's true.
Everyone always goes there before unrated became the cheapest promotional thing in the world in the early 2000s. When it was like, get the unrated of whatever it is, bullet to the head, and it's like 2 extra shots of blood, and it's like,
exactly.
Like, did anyone tell the difference? You know, that was a selling point. But
yeah. So how are we doing this next part? I don't know how to set up this next part.
So let me see what it is. Company to mimic as far as interesting. I think business, like ethics, the way that they function. So I'll give you mine.
Okay.
My company to mimic was Criterion, because I like their infrastructure. I like that they have a base of operations. You know, they have a great clientele. You know, they have all the connections. You know, I want to have access to those people that made the movies. You know, whereas someone like Vinegar Syndrome feels very more like fan focused. So, you know, and some of the ways, like we've discussed it, like in terms of like how they promote themselves, and it's like a lot of trying to like induce FOMO through their, like, it never feels like that with Criterion. There's no limited edition. All the titles are on sale right away. Doesn't matter if it came out the week before or during the sale. It's 50% off. And there's 2 flash sales and 2 Barnes & Noble sales. I mean, that's 4 sales of their entire library.
Right.
For the year. And we'll get into that later with sales. But like that to me is the most, and again, they're the grandfather of physical media. So it's like I want to have that already set infrastructure. Just like we are the grown-ups in an office building. We have it set up, and Willem Dafoe will come over and do an interview with us if we want him to.
It's true.
Well, so does that help with you with choosing one?
It did. I knew what I was doing. I was mostly asking for how we were going to say it to the audience. So the one that I'm going with here is Second Sight for a lot of the same reasons. They release standard editions the same day as the limited edition, so there's no like pressure to buy the larger box set if you don't want it. But at the same time, they are known for literally like pushing the boundary on the highest quality possible. They somehow have contacts to get all of these incredible filmmakers from the last 20 years to show up for commentaries and interviews and do great supplements. The fact that they are the ones that have like pushed Umbrella to be doing books in all of their releases is because Second Sight's like, oh, you want this movie? We're doing 2 hardback books and you got to deal with it. Like there's so much that they are putting into their boxes that are just incredible. People just plain know that their titles rarely go on sale. So if you want them, it's just there's a lot of value in the disc, and I know to purchase them when I want them. They have a fairly consistent announcement schedule. They have a fairly great track record with release dates. The only thing that gets pushed back is when manufacturing goes wrong, and it's really only pushed back by like a week.
This is Second Sight, right?
Second Sight, yeah.
Second Sight. Oh yeah.
Okay. Everything to me is pretty much top of the stack right now.
Would you be a one-man army though? Would you emulate that, or would you have more of a
I mean, you have a production team, but I think a lot of this can be done if you have the right people helping out. And I know that sounds weird to say about a one-man army, but obviously Second Sight is not one person. They have producers, they have other people assisting. It's a lot.
Can I film that? Yeah, I mean that sounds. I mean, obviously, I'm going to use Second Sight as reference later on, but no, absolutely. I mean, the one thing I'll push back on that is their release schedule. I'm sure it makes more sense to you than it does to me. Like all of a sudden, I'll like wake up one morning, like open up my phone, and there's disconnected, and it's like, here's the picture of the box with the art cards and the book laid out in front. I'm like, oh, it's the Second Sight.
The thing is, they announce Friday mornings. That's the only time they ever announce.
But a Friday morning.
Yeah, whenever something is ready to be announced. Right. So there's not specific dates. They can, if they have 2 that they want to announce in a month, it doesn't have to be on the same day. It can be. Doesn't have to.
So like I was saying, in terms of consistency, it's like I know that the 15th Criterion will put out their titles. I know that the first will be Vinegar Syndrome. I know that. So it's like if it were once a month on a Friday, but we'll sometimes go like 2 months with no Second Sight or 3 months. And it's a joy when it shows up, and I'm like, oh man, but if it's not something you want, then you're like,
from the behind the scenes side, you kind of want that freedom. You don't want to be forced to do it on the 15th if stuff is not ready.
Sure, absolutely. It's a smart move. I'm just saying, like, as a fan, I'm like walking, I'm just like, if I see like what's come out and I'm not a fan of that movie, I get disappointed because I'm like, damn it. Now I gotta wait till the next time they announce something to see if it's something I want. So, but they're pretty on the money with stuff that I would want. It's very like few and far between. They'll be like, I don't know, I don't really need a deluxe edition of that.
Yep.
And you're right. You gotta just grab it because even if there was a sale, those things aren't lasting. A few maybe. Like I noticed that Green Room is still available, and maybe Possessor.
Probably.
But like, whatchamacalled, what's the French extremist one with the girl? What's her name?
With the girl? High Tension?
High Tension. Thank you. Yeah, I know. I'm like, that narrows it down. Yes, High Tension. That sold out really fast.
Yep. Bittersweet Life sold out very fast.
Yes, but like, Inside too?
I think so.
But like Mean Streets is still there.
Yep. But also, it got a competing release from Criterion right
This
around
is,
the same time.
but I mean, if people are package obsessed, I mean, that thing is also a brick.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Then we have packaging. So you want me to do mine?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So mine's kind of like a split. I did Second Sight and Arrow because I said I would remove the lobby cards. I would sacrifice lobby cards for bigger books and perhaps smaller booklet inside the Amaray case detailing the restoration process for the film and its history on physical media. So, the thing is, I want to basically take everything, all the excess quote unquote junk that most people are not going to get excited about when they see the announcement. So whatever it costs to make those art cards, which probably isn't much, but just then take that money and make whatever book you're going to make it bigger. You know, I don't even need a poster. I just need yes, Stan, the girl movie. Stan's always telling me about that. Yes, I know. It's like Stan. Yeah, just like a hardback book, and then if possible, do a little booklet on the inside case, and that can be like just like the how like Criterion always used to break down like this was done from this negative, and the dust and the specs were removed and all that stuff, and have a booklet just about the restoration. It's just about the release, and then the hardback, the hard book is the articles and the essays and all that stuff. But this is kind of like your info booklet, like hey, this was on Laserdisc with these special features, and then this one, and then this one, and now this is the road to our 4K is paved with many releases. Booklets cost more than the discs. Kind of crazy. That is crazy. That is really crazy, Craig. That's at this hour, it's hard to wrap my brain around that. Why is that? Is that, Craig? Do you mean the physical discs?
The actual production of them.
I gotcha. The pressing of the discs.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. I guess maybe, I don't know, because maybe there's paper's more in demand than discs. I don't know.
It's a more in-depth process, kind of.
And in Craig, this is going down a rabbit hole, but does that make a difference if it's like a hardback book or you're doing like just like a pamphlet, like a little booklet insert?
Well, the Deaf Crocodile is not a hardback. It's just
okay, but like a perfect bound book as compared to like a booklet, like the ones that Criterion, so
right.
in the little clips on the inside of the Amaray case.
Ryan Cheek is asking, how much do special features add to the cost of the disc? Because earlier he says, I wish a company would just put out an edition without special features. I've never watched a special feature, and those drive the cost up. Those drive the cost up a lot less than you think. We're talking, a couple, maybe $1 or $2 per disc, like over the entire life of what they're printing. Not that much.
I will say you're probably going to end up, it would almost like do the reverse and cost you. They would end up putting the cost back onto the customer because they would have to do, correct me if I'm wrong, an edition with no features, an edition with features, and that
offering an entirely different disc.
And so that almost makes it more. You're better off just waiting for that box and that book to go away, and then you've just saved yourself $20 or something.
It's true.
Yeah, I really just need, I don't need a long box. I don't need anything. All I want is the thing that accompanies the movie. I don't need a poster or anything. I just want a book about the thing that I'm going to watch.
Right.
In a nice hardback book. And to that point, because this is going to be part of my hot topic discussion, so I'll ask you this right now. Steelbooks are dead. Long live the hard box. Do you agree or disagree?
I don't think they're dead yet, but I think if they keep getting priced the way they are, they will about to be dead soon. And the only way that I will say long live the hard box, which for sure the hard box is going to win no matter what. My answer for the packaging kind of ties into that, so I'm just going to launch into it.
Yeah, please.
I hope more companies lean into what my pick is for this, and I'm not just saying it because Craig's in the chat or anything. I'm going to say Deaf Crocodile has kind of nailed it. The hard box that is the extra thin version of this disc
Okay.
in the release, it is small enough to fit on the shelf in a way that's not the hitcher. It's not overwhelming. It's not crazy. It's
Mm-hmm.
got the nice Skinovo box
Mm-hmm.
that looks like a Criterion. Got a really nice booklet.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about this passes the hard knock test. The art is good. It gives you multiple places to
Yeah.
put new art. You've got the really nice looking standard, which is identical to everywhere else that you're releasing this.
Mm-hmm.
On the inside, I would absolutely want to keep this. They are putting out on Deaf Crocodile follow this QR code to access transcribed bonus content. So the commentary, the interviews, things that they can transcribe, you
Mm-hmm.
can access on a PDF so you can read them wherever you are.
Digital Craig.
If you don't have time to sit down and watch the commentary or what have you. The
Yeah.
only thing I will say, and maybe Craig can take this as a what to do. This is on the front of this card that you're putting in the box. There's nothing on the back. Perhaps what you just said about the release, I would love to see. This release was from the restoration of these film elements and where we sourced them and who did the restoration and the year that it happened.
If anything, what you were going to say, if you hold up that card again, I thought you were going to say, take the QR code, put it on the blank side because it's blocking the art on the front.
No, I get that, but yeah, it'd be nice to see.
Okay. Yeah.
So I love that. Also love their booklets. I think this is a really great size. You don't have a ton of pictures or art or anything like that. There's a lot of writing. It's a really great balance. I think this is a perfect way to sell everything about the film. You've got enough for somebody to fully, get immersed in the context of the film, whether you have somebody like Walt Chaw writing on everything or another critic. You've got room to get an archival interview with the director or something like that. It's a really great way to sell these.
So are you, I'm assuming then you're a fan of the indicator, the slim box indicators.
I am, but they are lesser than this. If you have held both of them together, the Deaf Crocodile ones are better quality for sure.
Okay.
Everything about Deaf Crocodile, it doesn't feel as flimsy as the indicator ones. I do like the size, and I do like they size down for those, but they're still using the little cardboard digipack things to hold the discs, and I don't love those. I prefer the big Skinovo case that Deaf Crocodile is using, and it makes it easier to sell everything. You're going to have less damages. If you're shipping the standards without the hard box and all that stuff, and it's not in a plastic case like that, it's going to be worse. And you may as well save on materials and do the same.
Are the indicators not in Skinovo cases? I thought they were.
Not always. No, I don't know that I have one.
The Jean Roland ones are in Skinovos?
They are not in Skinovos. No, they are in like a little cardboard digipack.
Oh, yeah, I don't like the digipack.
Looks like your
idea also does digipack.
Sometimes, yeah.
Which is, help the environment.
Trapped Ashes and Felidae are the booklets are bumped up to 80 pages.
Oh, nice.
All right, what do we got next? Supplements.
Packaging supplements. Yeah, I would. This was. I kept going back and forth. I was going to do Arrow originally, but I wanted to be able to shout out enough labels, and I was going to go with Indicator. Indicator always has like just a plethora of features, especially when you do those like boxes, the Columbia Noir boxes.
Yeah,
like every single disc has like a significant amount. They don't feel like EPKs. They don't feel like just like small. Like, not to go bashing on them again, but something like Scream Factory is like, we sat down with the gaffer for 5 minutes. And the guy's like, I remember I was high on cocaine and we made the movie, and I think I slept with one of the actresses. I don't remember. It's like, and it's like, that's it. It's like, okay. It's like, but they actually put together like an entire piece,
right.
About especially that religious families collection of films that they had.
The Ormond set.
Yeah, that just looked, I'm like, I don't know about this. I don't know if it's something I'd be able to watch over and over again, but just the amount of content that they had on there was intriguing, and it was archival. It didn't feel like something that someone like just produced in house in like talking heads. It was actual like, oh, we have all this, you know, like a documentarian's wet dream to have all this like archival footage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Arrow as well. We all know the back of an Arrow case is like takes you 5 hours to read all the stuff, but I don't know.
I think Indicator is more consistent there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Consistency. It's not always that way. At least not as much as it used to be. I feel like in the past, during like the early 2010, like 2010, 2011, it was like a consistent thing with Arrow. When it was horror and schlock and stuff like that, everything had like a paragraph of features, and now it's like, here's Demolition Man, and here's some
bunch of archival features and one new commentary.
Here's a Taco Bell sticker, and there you go. Yeah. What about yourself?
Funny enough, like I don't want to repeat too much, but my answer, I literally wrote the words, it's obviously Indicator. Indicator has sort of everything. We are in a situation with Indicator where they are treating the releases like they are archiving everything related to this film. So the only main difference, like a lot of the stuff that I'm putting out on this fake label, is they are modern films, and a lot of Indicator stuff is not modern. So the only thing I would add is Indicator gets everything that they possibly can from back then. I also want to do more filmmaker stuff than what Indicator gets to do, because they're mostly doing stuff from like 1930, and that's not the same. So obviously, like, I want a critic commentary. I also want a filmmaker commentary, if possible, if it's somebody that cares and is good and remembers. Actor interviews, I definitely want those. I want more writer interviews than we see on releases. Those are important people that don't get a lot of love. Definitely want more location footage than we get from a lot of these labels. The big thing, though, is most releases, probably not every release, but most release should have a commentary, should have some interviews, should have at least one visual essay. And then the big thing, for many of these erotic thrillers, most of these people have done short films, and they never get any releases. Throw every short film from these people that you can, because they're not, the rights aren't stuck with some studio.
They'll give them to you.
Right. Get as many short films as you can. And that's why, like, Deaf Crocodile, I didn't even look at this, but I bet this thing, 4 rare animated shorts on this. Adela has not had supper yet released. That I was
and yes, it will, Richard. It will. Sorry, I was just.
You're good. Host for me. That's great. The shorts are here. We don't get that on most releases, so I want to see as many shorts as I possibly can.
Well, again, to just pump up Indicator is like you said, they are doing a lot of 40s and 50s. These people are no longer with us. The fact that they can get that content is even more of a miracle, because you're talking about 80s and 90s. There's no reason, like, studios, and obviously we're making up these labels, but in reality, most of these companies, like, you have this stuff. It's just there. It's on YouTube. Just pull the damn stuff and put it up there. I know, again, we just do it. But if you're the studio that owns all the promotional material, and you've at least had some type of like recognition of what people like in the stuff that you manufacture, it's like, well, maybe people do want, like, look, if you're Warner Brothers and you're putting out the Batman series, and you don't think that fans would be excited and get a kick out of all the McDonald's, all the promotional Batman Forever, like, material commercials,
Burger King commercials,
exactly, or like, I've got all the mugs now, he, Batman, like all the, like, that's what people want. Like, I'll get drive-through. Like, put that on there. You don't realize, like, that's what do you think people go to YouTube for, other than the disconnected?
Nice save.
Yeah, but like, that's what people fall down a rabbit hole with. Watching you see what I send you on Instagram, like an old commercial from like 20 years ago. There's an audience for this. For God's sakes, Vinegar Syndrome puts out mixed movies of just like promotional materials from the 60s and 70s.
To be fair, that's AGFA, not Vinegar Syndrome.
Sorry, AGFA. Yes. But again, there are labels that are doing this. There is an audience.
Absolutely. I mean, trailer compilations historically have sold very well. So
look, if it wasn't TBD, I would have ordered the damn thing from Fun City already. But I'm not. coming 2026. I'd want to.
I mean, look at a label that we haven't talked about in years because they're defunct now, but Garage House Pictures was huge because they've done 4, I think it was, trailer compilations that all sold out very quickly.
I don't even know who those people are. That's before my time. That was before
I used to order all of my Garage House Pictures from the owner himself just by getting invoiced on PayPal.
That sounds like some code red shit right there.
It basically was.
See,
I feel very old right now.
No, you've just been in the game much longer than I. I mean, I remember going to Barnes and Nobles and looking at that. Oh, what's this coming called Arrow? And is Donnie Darko?
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be here when I come back. Not thinking it's limited edition. I didn't understand what limited edition was. Apparently, I still don't. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I drew a blank. But go ahead.
So that was supplements. Next, I feel like we're going to have the same answer, but people still need to hear it. Disc authoring. The right answer here is Fidelity Emotion.
Yeah.
It has to author every single disc. They're going to put everything that they can into QCing your work as they author it. They're going to get you. They do charge a little bit more than other people that author, but you get that value out of it. The David Mackenzies of the world do not get praised enough. Fidelity Emotion is the answer. Best encoding, best everything. Fidelity Emotion has.
That's what I said. Then we're gonna move on from there. What I was gonna say, what I just remembered that I was gonna say, is that I said in terms of like TBD and ordering something, well, those poor schmucks that ordered 7, 4K of 7.
Yep.
Like, are they gonna get refunded, or is this gonna?
They already have, yeah.
Oh, did he get refunded?
They did.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just going to sit as a charge and like, we'll ship it when it's out. It's like,
no, but the studio doing that pisses me off so much.
Yeah, I was afraid that was going to happen with Nightmare on Elm Street. I really thought that's what was going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, it kind of did because the artwork was TBD.
It was. It held pretty close to what it was.
Sure, but the fact that you're putting up pre-orders and the art says TBD is not okay.
Well, they had TBD on the features. We didn't know what you're ordering. It was just like Nightmare on Elm Street. People, that's what it is. And the thing is, no release date. That was it was the release date. The release date's the thing. Features, all that stuff is like, okay, we'll see. But if it's something I really want, I'm gonna pre-order it. But if you tell me no date, and I'm like, well, what does that mean?
Then why am I pre-ordering it?
Exactly. If you're going to not charge my card until it ships, I'm a lot better with that.
I'm not, though, because I don't want to remember that I have a charge.
I know some people are different about that. I would prefer if it's going to be like pre-order and we'll release it 6 months from now. I'm like, all right, I'll make note of that. Cool. But to take my money and then make me wait is doubly not cool to me.
Yep.
What's the next one is cover art. This is where I put cover art, so I know that was last minute.
Okay, I can move it up there, sure.
Are you okay with that? I
totally
said that last minute.
Go right ahead.
I have Radiance.
Oh, for just who you're mimicking. Got it. See, I went down to the specific artist that I want on most of
mine. Is it Sister Hyde?
I want, well, first off, I even did a little more detail. I want Haunt Love to do all of my books. Mm-hmm. I love what Haunt Love did with Erica's book, and I think it's amazing. I want Sister Hyde to do about half of them, and Haunt Love to do the other half. But the big thing is every single release, the original poster should be on the opposite side.
Oh, absolutely. Always the original art should always be on a reverse. Every insert should be a reverse for everything.
Yeah. But if we're literally just saying, let's mimic a company, I mean, for me, it's probably a pretty close tie between Radiance and Deaf Crocodile. Both are clearly focused on visual appealing art, and it's worked. I mean, the releases from Radiance that are just gorgeous are almost all of them. And then Deaf Crocodile stuff, it's always just this superbly unique style. I can't think of anything that I would want more than those two.
I mean, I had that slip from. I'm trying to figure out how I can get a copy of Pied Piper because I have this beautiful slipcover that I won from Craig, and I need to get a copy of Pied Piper to put in it. But the thing about Radiance, the little extra oomph, because I do love Deaf Crocodile's art as well, is that the little jump that Radiance gets is that I've said on multiple occasions, they don't put stuff out that I really want all that much.
Right.
I'm always enticed. Every time I see it, I want it. And this was a couple of years ago, and I had more shelf space. I'd be like, you know what, maybe I'll give it a go. But like that box with the cross that they announced recently with the crucifix, I was like, yeah, the fact that it entices me to want it and I don't get it,
Right.
to me is like the extra bonus. It's like, man, for a movie that I'm not interested in, you're making me
That's
want
pretty
it.
telling. Yeah.
And that's a pretty. And the only thing that really, like, I think the very first artwork from them that I was like, okay, I'm getting it. No question, is Messiah of Evil, and I was just like, holy shit. And I saw that all black cover and the face with the tear going down, and I think that got announced around the same time as It Follows from Second Sight. And I was just
somewhere
like,
around there.
this is the age of side faces, of profiles that are just like, put a profile on there, make it a little artsy, and I will order that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
What about you? Oh, we agreed it was Radiance and
Radiance. I go with Deaf Crocodile in there as well.
Gotcha. So next I said price point. Is that okay? Do you have price
That's
point?
totally fine. Yeah.
I had for so like a standard limited editions, we're going with Arrow because I think Arrow's around a fair price. If it's just the slip limited edition, I went 30, and if it's a box set, I said 45. I think that's a good even ground. I'm never deterred. If it's something I want from Arrow, I will pre-order it. No, there's no question. It's not like, again, I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus, but like Severin, they, for whatever reason, and I know you always say like the quality is there and you're getting your money's worth. There's something about certain numbers, and maybe I'm just my OCD or whatever it is, but certain numbers hit me the wrong way.
I get it.
And they just choose certain numbers. I'm like, God, that just sounds like a lot.
I'm not going to stand up. Even Andrew has joked with me about the pricing. Like $60 for one release is a lot. That being said, like, I do understand how they got there.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm not going to look at it and go, oh God, like I still haven't bought Opera, and Opera is my favorite Argento.
If you said 59, you might almost sway me just on that $1. There's something about it. And again, it's true. People, that's why people say $9.99. You're like, ooh, only $9.99.
Right.
But it's like $59 is like $60. When you say 60, there's something about saying that number that goes, oh man.
Yeah.
I'd rather pay 70. The 70 sounds not as harsh as 60. I don't know. Certain numbers just hit the brain in a certain way, and I'm just like, you've hit my threshold. I can't do. And again, if it were and I think Opera is a box, right? It is a rigid box.
I think so. I've never held one, so I'm not sure.
Rigid. I've seen pictures of people holding. It's like this thick.
Right.
But there's something to say of like, well, like, look, Second Sight, how much was Hitcher? 65?
60? Something like that, yeah.
I mean, I hate to put the two together. I mean, I'm not to be a size queen here, but I mean, we're a size king, but like, come on.
Well, and they're very different things too. Like the Opera thing, the Opera release has 4 discs or 5 discs or whatever it was, and there's a lot to license there. Different cuts still have to be licensed. Interviews, brand new everything, authoring on that much. Not to mention there was a replacement disc. All that other stuff, like there's a lot of costs going in there, no doubt. I completely understand it.
Yeah.
And books obviously cost a lot to print too. And that's where a lot of the Second Sight prices come from.
But then you have something like The Last Horror Show, which is also 60.
Right.
So not everything, that's the thing, is where not everything is created equal. Like the Four Flies on Grey Velvet, we've gone over that enough. People have beat that dead horse to death.
Right.
About saying, we had to bring the scanner over to Italy. But like, not everything requires that. So how does 60 keep?
Correct.
How do you keep hitting 60? You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
So it's just like the deep cuts. All right, it's multiple movies. All right, that I can understand that. So it's just baffling to me with that way. Whereas like when you get something like an Arrow limited edition, you just know what you're getting. Second Sight is always like, you're getting the box, you're getting the book, you're getting the poster, you're getting the thing. Like, these are the things you're getting. Everyone knows what you're going to get when you get that. It's not all of a sudden like, you're paying for this,
Right.
I don't like
Gary says, I don't like deluxe sets that have things that are not contained in the
Mhm.
box, like pin sets or rolled posters. They
Yeah.
don't feel like part of the actual release. They feel like random individual stuff. And I would agree for the most part, unless you're getting, um, I don't, unless you're like wanting an extra deluxe bundle because a title is so important for you or something like that. Yeah, totally agree.
Oh, Anthony, welcome to the fam. Welcome to the family, Anthony.
So pricing for mine, told you before we went live that this was hard for me. I think
Yeah.
I just did too many details. Like I almost just created a company here. So
You
my
really did. You just completely do like, and here's our advertisement, and here's our, like,
I've got a plan. Let me share at the end.
yeah.
No, because I'm doing the Deaf Crocodile thin box. I know that the cost can come down slightly. So
Mhm.
for a deluxe, like 60-page release, I'm thinking 32 USD for the Blu-ray release, and if it was 4K, I know I'm gonna bump that up about $5. So I was thinking
Okay.
37 for a 4K. And then I went into more detail and said standards, just drop them both by $10. I want to see 22 and 27 for the 4K and the Blu-ray. And then when you're going to have a sale, that even leaves hopefully a few dollars for to knock off to get a sale price down to 17, 18, 19, somewhere around there probably.
So down to like Severin sale prices. On
Severin, Vinegar
Severin.
Syndrome,
Yeah.
Terrorvision, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. Wow, you really went into detail on that one. I want to acknowledge that because Paul said I have a box full of J cards and pins, etc. I had an idea recently. No, I'm gonna forget it. But it's like instead of the J card, it's like there's got to be a better way to do the J card that like you don't have to keep the damn thing with you.
I
Like
mean,
almost.
I like the imprint way, which they do on a lot of the like because they put out the boxes. It's got just that one little tiny bit of glue, and it's just a cardboard thing attached to the back. And when you get it
Yeah.
off, it's small enough to fit in the box, and that
Oh yeah.
way you don't ever have to worry about losing it. You don't have to worry about it getting damaged. I think imprint does the J card thing right.
I feel like there was some company though recently that did it a little differently for like it was like a major boutique release. And I was like, oh, that's the way that you do it. And I cannot remember now who did it. It's going to come to me. Oh, it's Cinematograph. And I think we were talking about like, why do they do these wraparound J cards when it could just be like, yeah, exactly. Like, oh, this is what I was talking about. They put the numbering, the individual numbering on the J card. Right, exactly. But it used to be like on the J card that they would sometimes do it where it's like you had to like keep the J card because the J card had
This is a J card.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's my point. Don't put when it's limited edition numbering is for everyone. Like don't
You want it numbered on the box itself.
I want a
not on
number on
the
the
J
box. So
card.
if I don't want to keep the J card, I don't have to worry that's like, all right, well my number's now gone. Like
Right.
just engrave it, stamp it, find a little like embosser thing to be like, that's your number. You know what I mean?
I just realized it's 145 where you are.
Dude, I was gonna be up anyway. It's fine. I'm literally fine. I'm like, again, I'm not gonna go as long as a Jeremy episode. So
We'll see.
we'll see.
So we did cover art price point. I think
Okay.
next.
Titles per month. I had somewhere in the happy medium between Severin and Criterion. I said 3 titles. And the reason I said this was because I feel like sometimes people, again, we've talked about this, people get overwhelmed with how many titles there are. And if you put out 4 or 5 titles that people want, there's going to be those that will obviously buy everything because they want to buy everything. But then there are people who almost get like their happiness gets reversed and they get pissed off. And you're like, why are you putting out all the things that like I want? And it's like, and then they almost like don't buy it. I mean, either one, they can't afford to, which is understandable. 2, it's like out of pure like I'm just gonna wait for the sale. Like I can't buy all these titles. I felt 3 was the safety thing of like, you're either gonna buy 1 because it's the title you want most, but at that point you're like, oh, 3, I can do 3. At that price point, people are putting out for box. When you order 3 items from Orbit, most of the time if I have to put in 3 orders, I'm hitting about $100 as far as the items that I'm ordering. So I feel like, around that time, if you're to get a whole months of release for under 100 or something like that. You know, I felt that that's reasonable. Someone can stomach buying 3 titles.
Yeah, I would agree
This was
there.
like OCN. Like, look, I love waiting to see what's there, but like, fucking hell, like 36 titles is just
36 titles.
like I don't want most of them, which is fine by me. I'm actually like, oh, cool, I saved money, but you know, the thing like when 1201 rolls around, I'm like, oh my god, what if there's 10 movies I want?
Right.
And I see the slip starting to go, and I'm like, god damn, stupid illness that I have. I gotta buy them all.
I get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
What about you?
A very similar answer. I went get more detailed. I said at least 2, but 3 is okay. And then I even put during like if we're gonna do a Black Friday or an event is the way I
Mm-hmm.
wrote it down as an event up to 5.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I was thinking is if you just do one, a lot of people show up and go, I mean, it's a good title, but I kind of want like a couple to come in the box, so I'm not going to buy anything right now. I'll wait
Right.
till they announce the next one.
And you have to pay for shipping.
Exactly.
Right.
So if I announce 2, they're more likely to buy, which is weird. It's a weird psychology thing, but it's true. 3 is not like necessarily putting you out too much as a company. Right. It's something like it was just a busy month. We got a lot on the slate. We can probably do this. And you're not going to hit 3 every month. You can hit 2 for probably 8 months of the year, 3 for 3, and then you have an event once. That's not bad.
Right.
And then the event, like that's something you prepare for. You get a couple bigger titles, maybe out of those 5, like 2 or 3 or 4K, and the rest are Blu-ray, and it's an expensive month, but it's something that you've been working on for a very long time.
If you put out a box set, would you count that as just the 3 in a row, or would you put that as an extra one?
I mean, yeah, I probably would count it as 3 because I the type of person I am. Like if I was doing, and a lot of these direct-to-TV erotic thrillers had like 3 films or 4 films.
And Tweed.
Quite often they weren't the same director or they switched out actors. I don't want to do different supplements for all of them, so I'm putting the same amount of work for it. So yeah, let's treat it like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
All right.
This is the last category, is it? Oh no, sales structure. How many per year? All right. I would put. I'd have 2 sales. 1 in April, and 1 in December. And the reason I structured it like this because April is tax month, and you're going to get a rebate, so it entices people to spend money that they just got back from the government. It's free money. Mentally, a lot of people think of it as. I see a lot of posts where people are just like, "I just spent all my rebate on Criterion or whatever."
Right.
And then I'll see December, but I would do it in December, not Black Friday. So I'd avoid the Black Friday, which is kind of like Kino Lorber does their end of year sale a couple weeks later. Right. And like have their like that's it. Like they've avoided the traffic jam. And plus also it's the time when people either get bonuses or they get gifts or gift cards or whatever it is. And again, that leaves just enough like time, like 4 months between the 2 sales.
Yeah.
So that would be my thing. You?
Mine, I chose 1 at most. And now, I know we all love sales, but at the same time, I think that there are some companies that are really conditioning people to wait and only stuff their carts during sales, which I understand and I get why, and it's a big event and everybody loves those and all that. But these discs cost a lot to produce, and you shouldn't be selling them at cost unless you're selling to literally tens of thousands of customers. And so my thought, and again, I went into almost as much detail as you on this one. I was going to say that we schedule it for the very end of January for a couple reasons. One, it's not around any holiday. Nobody's sitting here, they're spending money on preparing for anything other than maybe the Super Bowl, but even that's a couple weeks later.
Man,
the other big thing,
Martin Luther King Jr., do you?
The other big thing is they have recovered from Christmas. They've gotten at least 2 paychecks.
Mhm.
So you know that people are at the point where they might have some disposable income left.
Right.
And then the other big thing, which I laughed as I typed this, uh, they've had enough time to fall off of their New Year's resolutions. So if they decided to spend better in the new year, you give them a few weeks ago, we're back at it.
Dry January.
Yeah.
Dry this January, and then it's like
Yep.
back into it. So, on the subject of sales, my question to you is: given how many sales are now happening, let's just say Vinegar Syndrome, because they're the elephant in the room.
They're one of the big ones, yes.
Something has to change, because you now have, I can't even count how many sales they have. Like, I really can't think off the top of my head about how many
You're
sales
right.
they have, and impromptu sales that they have, and random title sales that they have, and then a subscription service.
And the we should point out too, the prices on the sales quite often are less than 50% off, which is what was like the whole enticing point to sign up for the
Right.
subscription.
Plus, but again, it's like, yeah, exactly. And people have obviously already talked about, ad nauseum about how, like, you don't get the sub labels, you don't get the cinematograph, you don't get the VSA, you don't get the VSP, you don't get the Picorama back when it was Picorama.
Right.
So it's like, so then what are you? You're getting all the titles, and I'll go so far as to say, you know what? Other than a few titles that are like, cool, oh wow, cool, that's coming out. I'm more enticed by the OCN partner labels than I am by Vinegar Syndrome. So now, what is it that you are enticing people with? There's got to be. You almost have to, like, because I'm not subscribing, but for someone like yourself, I know you said this might be your last year subscribing, but anyone else who subscribes, there's got to be another tier then of exclusivity. There has to be something you're getting that nobody else is getting.
And the hard part here, I think one of the most obvious things, which I think it was Scream Factory's rewards program just alluded to this, was you can access the sale before other people. And I got to be honest, for people that are longtime subscribers, that is not an enticement, because I have most of the titles that I want already, or all of the titles that I want already. I don't need to go in there earlier than everyone else because I have them.
But what about futures? Like, so, like, say a movie comes out, there's a slipcover, you get to go in first, take it before, like, other people take it. But obviously nowadays it's not what it used to be.
Right. So the time exclusivity thing, I don't think works anymore for something like that. I think that it's got to be a bigger it's got to be a bigger discount, period. And it's got to be at a point where you probably either are guaranteed, like, at least a title or two that other people aren't going to get, and not just that they're not going to be able to purchase it, or sorry, not that they're not going to get it until later, but literally they will not have access to, like, something actually exclusive, something,
and that you're getting, not that you can buy.
Correct.
So that, like,
not that you don't have access to purchase it.
Right. But none of that unlocking $800 and I get a poster that advertises your freaking sale.
Correct.
None of that nonsense.
And Ryan is saying they can make a slipcover for the subscribers. They've done that, and they've done that for like 2 or 3 titles. That's not something that is brand new, but even then, a slipcover is not the same as a film. A piece of packaging is not going to be enticing enough for people to sign up to be a subscriber. That's not going to be worth it.
If you're a completist, or if you're someone who just wants to sell it online, those are the two people that are going to be excited about that. Otherwise, or if it's something you're like, oh my god, I love this movie, I will take anything you have to offer me for it, because of course, hey, remember when we all gave them, what was it, $25 for something we still don't know what it is?
Right.
I'm going to keep reminding people, remember when we did that? Because if it's not anything good this year, I'm not doing that again. Because the first one, the Invisible Man thing, was Invisible Man, right?
Invisible Maniac.
Invisible Maniac. I was going to say Invisible Pervert or whatever it is. But yes, Invisible Maniac. The lenticular, that's cool. But then the next one was like, what is this? A scratch and win? Like, what is it? So now, like, unless it's something really like, wow, that you really put a lot of effort into that.
Right.
Now I just feel like I'm getting jerked around. And I don't like getting jerked around.
Although, now that I think about it, the Invisible Maniac and the Scratch and Sniff, that wasn't just subscriber. That was because you paid for the April Fool's thing. So
Right. That's the thing.
Biozombie, is that the only subscriber specific one that we've gotten? Maybe.
I think it is, because I remember obviously everyone got upset because you were not guaranteed the Invisible Maniac as a subscriber, and they were told in the email when they subscribed, you will get every slip and every this and every that for every release. So it is kind of like, talking out both sides of their mouth on that.
Yeah, I don't fully agree there, but.
Well, I mean, the phrasing is, if you're starting January 1st and I'm subscribing, it's like, hey, whatever we put out slipcover, you're getting it. And then you make some things like, hey, donate $5 to this invisible thing. And it's like, it's April Fool's, and it's the first time you're ever doing it. And then it turns out to be a slipcover when you were told you were going to get every slipcover, and now you're not going to get it. I can see. I'm not for everyone, the people that really bitch and gripe on Blu-ray.com.
Right.
But that I can understand. That's especially if you're dropping $1,000 up front for the year, not knowing what the titles are.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not. Again, every label. I don't collect labels. I collect titles.
Right.
Because there's just no label out there except for maybe mine that I'm coming up with right now, where I would want to buy every title. So the idea of giving someone $1,000 and I hope you put something out that I like.
Right.
I just can't do that. That's God bless your blind faith, but I can't.
I get it. Paul, got to head off. Have a good night. Yeah, it's been a long night. This has been the longest show in a long time.
I felt that when I was today, I was like, this is going to be a long night. I feel like it's going to be a historical episode. Okay, so let's get through with it. The last one was what are your first 3 titles? I went with Camp Nowhere, Dick Tracy, and Grosse Point Blank.
Dick Tracy is a good pick.
Well, I was originally going to do Rocketeer, but I felt like if I'm going to want anything to premiere on 4K with those colors,
yep.
And I know the long running rumor that there's a 3-hour R-rated cut of Dick Tracy out there, that just never saw the light of day. I remember as a kid watching so many behind the scenes featurettes about the making of Dick Tracy. About the makeup and all that stuff, and Madonna and stuff. And obviously the Disney Blu-ray is just bare bones.
Right.
So that I feel like, I would love to eventually put out Rocketeer, but that would be my first choice of the 2. Yes, Ronnie. And the Sondheim songs, so good. You put that Madonna CD on there with that. What can you lose? Only lose. And then Grosse Point Blank, it's you got a rom-com, and it has a terrible transfer right now. So you got a rom-com, and Camp Nowhere is one of the few films ever that I have watched, then rewound, yes, on VHS, and then watched it again right away. I absolutely love it, and I did not even hesitate to buy that Kino Blu-ray because now it's out of print.
Yep.
What about you?
All right, so
can't wait for your titles. I cannot wait.
Too much detail here. I know that when you're setting this up, you're not going to be able to get 3 huge titles out of the gate. So
it's your world. You can do whatever you want.
What I did is I picked 3 of my first big titles and then 3 fairly realistic titles. So I'm going to go with the bigger ones first because people are going to recognize these, and then you can skedaddle if you want. Right. But the first one, I mentioned him earlier because I had him on the brain because of this. Fear with Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, wow.
The Mill Creek release is shit. I would love, even if, honestly, I understand the studio probably won't be able to give us a brand new scan on that. Totally get it. I'd love to do a 4K. However, even if we can't, that movie deserves critical attention. It deserves appreciation of the roles in that. The story.
Wild horses.
Right? There's so much that you could do for Fear that has never been done before, and I would love to produce that disc.
The roller coaster featurette.
Roller coasters and film. That's a visual essay I'd watch.
Oh my god! Just let me in the fucking house.
I love that movie. The next one of the most visually appealing and erotic films of all time.
Can't wait. What do you say?
The Handmaiden. Not
Oh,
one that most people jump to when you think of erotic thrillers,
Mark
but
Hamill.
to show the diversity of the label here.
Mm-hmm.
This movie has an out of print Shout Factory Blu-ray. It had a Curzon Artificial Eye release that was like 2 discs for 2 different cuts. I've got that up on the shelf, but this movie deserves so much more than it has ever gotten.
Somewhere in here. Yeah.
Stephanie Crawford says, I got a breathless Mahoney sweatshirt for Christmas when I was 6 and felt like the coolest kid ever. That's amazing.
I had a breathless Mahoney doll. Thank you very much. I think I still have it somewhere.
So,
oh yeah. I don't know.
The Handmaiden. I would love to see some new special features produced about like that. That's an expensive disc.
Do you know how much I found this for? $20.
Not bad.
$20 and I looked it up at the time. It was like 100 already. I was like, wow. I did not expect
that. What are the special features listed on the back of that?
What are those? Okay. Doesn't look like anything.
I knew that.
Yeah.
So it's The Handmaiden, literally one of the greatest films of all time. And the disc that comes out in the US is bare bones. But that is a travesty.
The UK one is pretty nice, though. It has both cuts.
It's visually appealing, but it was when Curzon was really like they were more Artificial Eye than Curzon, and it sucked. There's a lot better that we could do.
Artificial Eyes.
Yeah, this deserves a lot of critical appreciation. It deserves so many like scholars of modern Asian cinema that could speak on this. The colors in this alone deserves like 4 visual essays. This movie could be like a 3-disc set of crazy special features. Not to mention all the interviews that should be done on this. Looking back on it, I think we're almost at the 10-year anniversary somewhere. What year did that come out? I don't even remember.
I want to say 2016?
Something like that. That's what I was thinking the first time. Handmaiden is
2016. Bam.
Yep. So yeah, that would be incredible. The next one, like this shouldn't need any explanation. But Secretary, like Imprint put it out, and there was a couple things on the disc, but to put out a gorgeous 4K of Secretary with triple the amount of special features and get updated interviews from Spader and Gyllenhaal,
which they would do.
I would be thrilled to see like how people responded in that time to them pushing the envelope the way they did, because that type of film was fairly unpopular at the time, and even still is still seen as very taboo. And to put it out when it did, it was genuinely brave. Like, I hate to use that word, but it was something that a lot of people would not have taken part of in a film like that. And so just to hear them looking back on it would be a big deal.
I was never really like, I'm pretty like, I see like a lot of extreme movies and stuff like that. I never felt that Secretary was a boundary pushing movie, and because they deal with all like the romance is very ethereal.
Yep.
It's not kind of like done in a lusty, 50 Shades of Grey style type of way. You either are dealing with her own, psychological transformation, and he's kind of like standoffish. So it almost felt more like a I hate to say, like a watered down Todd Solondz film.
I get that.
Like a little bit like that, or maybe whoever, I know you don't like it, but whoever directed like Teeth. Like it just had that kind of like quirky indie feel, IFC. I'm curious as to how good it could look, because I don't know if it's never had a great transfer. But I don't know.
And it's a pretty grainy film no matter what.
Yeah. And it was pretty low budget.
Yep.
I believe. I could see a oscilloscope putting that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also had on the list, like, I would love to do a real, like, decent release of Body Heat, but that should be obvious. Like, everybody would love to see a good release of Body Heat.
And that's Warner Brothers, right?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure it's Warner Brothers. And I mean, you've got Lawrence Kasdan, who's still around.
Right.
What you busy doing? You know?
So then my smaller titles that I think these are at least slightly more realistic. I know
Yes.
some of these may not be very realistic, but I'll throw these out there quickly because this is a
Thank you,
very
Richard.
long show. Sea of Love from 1989 with Al Pacino would be one
Already
that
happened. Sorry they beat you to it.
I understand, but a good release. That's what I'm getting at with all of these. I want to fix what people have done for a lot of these.
Okay, yeah, no, okay.
To go more in like the Skinamax side, Devil in the Flesh from 1998 with Rose McGowan, I feel like would be a really nice like first wave title.
Can I up that? Can we do the double pack?
I mean, you can, but I was just being realistic. Yes, you can.
If you're going to get Rose McGowan, you can get Jodie Lynn O'Keefe.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would love it.
You get Freeway too.
And then everybody's going to laugh, but the last thing I wrote down was just please anything Shannon Tweed.
I feel like the Shannon Tweed filmography and the Coreys are like the two weird, like no one can get these movies. Because the fact is, have we had a Shannon Tweed boutique release of anything? I don't think we have. I'm not saying like she's there, she's in the background or something like that. I'm talking about a featured Shannon Tweed humping a gun or something like that. Like, I don't think there's been one. And you'd think Vinegar Syndrome, you'd think there'd be a VSA or a Vinegar Syndrome or Keenan, someone. And there's none.
Nope, not really.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, again, if this were 20 years ago, someone's just going to say, well, there's no value in it. No one's going to buy that stuff. But everything comes out now. So, like, no one's like, who was it Cult Epics that put out Virgin High?
Virgin High.
It was the double bill. It was Virgin High and then.
That was Culture Shock releasing.
Culture Shock. What happened with their like late night Skinamax or late night
classics?
Late night classics. What happened with that?
I mean, they've dropped one title since they went to TerraVision last summer, and I don't mean summer like 3 months ago. I mean summer 2023.
I was going to say, you should know this. You're with TerraVision.
Oh, I know the answers. I just can't say.
Oh, you know the answers. Okay. You're like, yeah, they didn't. Yeah.
This has been really fun.
It's been a lot of fun. That's why we can go so late because we just get into it. And it's like, hey, why don't we do this?
Anything you want to shout out before we call it a night?
I mean, I'm so glad I got a chance to come back sooner rather than later, and I'm so flattered that people are still on this chat at this hour. I mean, God bless y'all.
4.5 hours.
Yeah, seriously, that's. And I like I said, I had a feeling this was going to be a long one, and I was like, "Wow, I'm going to be on a classic Disconnected." It's going to be like, this is like a Jeremy episode. We're going to keep going. But yeah, no, I had a lot of fun, and again, I'm glad we got to do this because I remember like kind of positioning this idea to you, and you were just like, if you come back with yeah, that sounds great. It's like, yeah, I did a good job. And so like, well, maybe we could do it like this.
This has been truly fun. We've had a hell of a night. Tonight we had our first Disconnected Mad Libs. We had like 70 announcements. We had
Caligula.
We had Caligula. We had
Caligula.
Epic rant there. The big thing, I shouted out a lot of things. If you are wanting more that you would be seeking out, Oscilloscope interview went up today. The Toby Hooper video went out last Friday. That is literally a mini documentary. It has so many nuggets of information in it. Please go check that out. I've got the current issue of the Physical Media Advocate is out there for everybody to pick up. The all horror issue. Next issue comes out November 15th. Lots that we covered tonight. If you have any questions, please seek me out. The other big things, Mondo Macabro, Deaf Crocodile podcast recording. If you have questions, send them to Craig for Deaf Crocodile. Send them to me for Mondo Macabro. If you want to donate to the family of my friend that passed for Physical Media Community, let me know. The link for PayPal's in the description there. I think that's it. That's too much already.
And don't forget, next Tuesday, if you don't send another reminder, is the Mondo Macabro sale. And because if you miss that on Cafe Flash, someone's going to get upset about that.
It's true. On behalf of Rainy Day Films and Scenes of Skinema, thanks for all your time tonight, everybody. And we will see you on next Thursday. We'll chat then. Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share it with someone else that may appreciate this.